Hi everyone, it's Agnes, and today I have an interview with two very special people. We've got Bryan and Mary. Welcome to the interview, you two.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for coming on. You two have such a wonderful, multi-layered story, and I am just so excited that you've come on to help and give back to other people that are where you were a year or two ago and are still struggling. So this is going to be a very multi-layered interview because there's two of you and we're going to get both sides of the story, which we often don't. We often get one person's side of the story. So who would like to start? Whoever feels like they want to start the ball rolling, go ahead.
I think Mary should start.
Okay, Mary, you go ahead. Let's go back a little bit of a ways and give us a bit of a before, what I did, and then where I am kind of timeline.
Yes, I've been working with you for a while on several different things, and it was always the highlight of my week because I got so much clarity and peace, and I would go from being in a state of wanting and not having to a state of calm and peace and using all the things that you taught me. And I worked with you on career, and I got the job that I wanted, the ideal job and career. And I was working with you on a specific person and just feeling comfortable there. And I actually did manifest that specific person successfully. However, everything vibed up. I leveled up in every way, and I met a better person. And because I think you and I were working on just being open and not being attached to how somebody comes in, who comes in, and just basically working on the feeling of feeling unconditional love for the self, and then for another person, and allowing that love in and not trying to get from that other person, but trying to give. I attracted someone that is so giving, so unconditionally loving, and it clicked right away. And it's like the struggle was over. So, and now it's Bryan. So, and Bryan, when we first met, we actually were just friends for 3 months, and you and I worked on that. And I remember you telling me, just have fun. Who cares? Who cares of the details, how much he calls, how much he texts, if he's dating people, just have fun. And it was the best advice ever because it changed everything. And 4 months later, after we started dating, we got engaged and we're expecting a child, and we're so happy. That's my side.
Wow. Mary, can you share a little bit about while you were in transit of person number one and Bryan, what kind of practices did you do, and what were the things that you think were the most effective to get you into? Well, I think because I watched you go through that, you were basically going from dissatisfaction to satisfaction and working on your self-love and your self-worth. But what things did you do regularly that you think were the most beneficial?
Yeah, and so the first person reflected a lot of not good enoughness. Nothing was ever good enough, and it felt like always trying and efforting, and you'd step forward a foot and then you'd be knocked back 3 feet. And so what I did is just withdrew completely, and that took stages. I didn't withdraw completely in the beginning. You had to keep withdrawing attachment to how it turns out, and I just worked on myself. So meditation, lots of living in the end techniques. I would do your meditations on just feeling unconditional love, and yoga. And then the day before I met him, I completely let go. I just surrendered any expectation. And if I was ever going to be with somebody or not, it didn't matter. What mattered was peace and the fact that I was self-sufficient and I was confident in myself, and nothing else mattered. And then the next day, I met him, and it was like it all fell into place. So, but to get there, it was meditation, yoga, a lot of journaling, living in the end techniques, and letting go.
Yeah. When you say meditation, did you do like particular, like silent meditation, guided meditations, on the particular desire meditations? What type did you enjoy the most?
I would do silent meditation. So first I would put one of your meditations on, like a living in the end meditation, or one of your specific people meditations, or self-love. The self-love meditations were the best. And I'd put those on at work and just keep them going on a loop. And if I did it at home, I'd put the self-love one on, and then I'd become quiet for like 30 to 45 minutes. So
Lovely. Lovely. And can I ask how long have you been pregnant for now?
I'm 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got
Lovely.
it. Yeah. Then 2 months later, we got pregnant.
Yeah. Wow.
We just celebrated our 1 year of when we first met 2 days ago.
Oh, wow. Lovely. Wow. I can't believe that's gone that quick.
Neither can we.
Oh my gosh. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's great. Thank you, Mary. That's part one. Bryan, let's rewind back on your timeline before you met Mary.
Okay. I mean, I think I've wanted a partner and someone special for a long, long time, probably since I was a young man. And I've had some long-term relationships, and I've dated, and I've gone through the phase of really wanting a partner. Probably when I was in my early mid 30s, I was really kind of trying to work on myself and see why that wasn't happening. Why the person that I was really, just totally, fully and completely in love with wasn't appearing in my life. When a lot of other things were there, like a really blessed family and friends and spiritual life and meditation and a spiritual teacher and travel and all these like wonderful things, but that part was not showing up, so to speak. So I started to do a lot of work on myself to try to understand why that was. And then part of that was like feeling conflict, feeling kind of, a yearning or conflict, or just kind of like something like the feeling of lack. And I went through that phase, which felt like it took like quite a long time. And then I said, if all of these other aspects of life, are kind of are given or blessed in the sense of they're coming from a higher source or a divine source, then this part will as well. And that's I had to kind of like remember the things that I had learned before again. And so in that you had to trust and start to let go. And the more that I kind of trust and let go and said, this is just going to happen when it's supposed to happen, the more and more comfortable I began to feel, and the more I was not searching or looking or kind of like grasping, but I was just aware. And just by being aware and having my eyes open, and that put me in a more relaxed and comfortable position, and I think ultimately like helped me trust in the timing that was like that was natural,
Yeah.
And so when it happened, I was not in a place of looking for someone. I was in a place of just like being myself and doing my meditation and doing my work and just living my life. And so I think that contributed to it.
For sure. And you were doing a lot of meditation and yoga, and you still do.
Yes, yeah. I've been doing that for a long time, but it was also, I was also I've been meditating for 20 years, and I was like, I mean, come on, man, bring the lady, like, let's, what's happening.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you, because I knew Mary, and then I met you, when you two were starting to get to know each other, there was a bit of, because you were friends, and then you met at a mutual thing that you both like to do, and then you wouldn't see each other, and then you were making plans to see each other, and sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't. What was going on your side of that? Because I was only seeing one side of it, and now I get to ask you that question, because you were becoming friends, and then there were, it was just that getting to know you phase. What was going on your end?
You get to put me on the spot. No, You know, during that time, I mean, I think I was working a lot
Yeah.
and trying to really figure out some of my work life, you know, balance, and also trying to figure out the type of work which was right for me. And I was basically kind of, I knew it but didn't know it, that I was going through a career switch in like kind of a crucial time in my life, which is can be kind of an awkward or kind of, you know, there's a lot of like back and forth, and it's not always you make some sort of clean break from an you know, work that you've been doing. I've been doing, you know, this type of work, you know, for 15 years. So I was making that move. So I was working, but I wasn't necessarily satisfied in that work. And then, you know, I was dating, and I was just trying to kind of like, I don't know that I was, I think I got in probably a mode of, you know, of don't search for the one so hard that that it makes you see everybody as this potential candidate, because I had that syndrome before, and then
Yeah.
everything that I met was being kind of measured up to this
Yeah.
impossible standard.
Yeah.
So even when I met Mary, I probably had some of my guards up, or, you know, certain, you know, kind of
Yep.
like just you know, don't take anything or everything too seriously right now. And then I was also, you know, I was also having fun and living my life, and, you know,
Yep.
I was probably in a light phase in my life, you know, kind of on a
Yeah.
recreational and personal side. But
Yeah.
the work was kind of jumbling me up, so I felt
Mm.
like I almost didn't quite have like my full attention on that area of life. But I know
Yep.
you probably put some kind of like don't get your hopes up type of thing, you know.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
but Mary, you know, as I got to know her, and as I think also some of her guards let down, and the layers of her personality came forth,
Yeah.
uh, I started to realize that she was like, you know, just like a needle in a haystack, just like
Mm.
completely rare, and like a, you know, like this gem that I, you know, also, you know, guys can be thick, you know, like so like, you know, I mean, you know, we're not always the most like super highly perceptive, and I probably was not highly perceptive enough to see what was in front of me. But it took a little time, and then as we started to spend time together, I said, this person is extremely
Mm.
rare and
Yeah.
precious.
So, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
When, you know how Mary was saying that she had this big letting go just before she met you, because she said you had that on your end too. What was your big letting go part? What happened?
I think it was again, like I've done meditation for 20 years. I have a, you know, a deep spirituality that really governs and fulfills like the central purpose of my life. But
Mm.
sometimes those, you know, those things are not, you're not integrating them in the ways that you should, in very practical ways. So this thing that I had kind of like bothered me for a long time is why this person, you know, that I wanted so much, was not coming into my life. I had to like, okay, well, you need to integrate your higher spiritual ideals with a very practical sense of you need to let every human being like be themselves, not hold them to some kind of stringent set of guidelines of what you want and what you're trying to achieve, and kind of be without judgment, without evaluation, and be open,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, and just be open, like have a non kind of evaluating mind, you know,
Yes.
be open and aware. And it actually turned out that she had emailed me 2 years. We found this out a couple like months into talking. She said, you know, I emailed you 2 years earlier. And she emailed me because I teach meditation, and I
Yep.
looked back, I said, no way. And I looked back in my email, And I said, you know, like a good soldier, I followed up with you, and I said, it's wonderful to hear from you. You know, I would love to teach you meditation. Having no idea who this person was.
Yeah.
And she never followed up. So
Oh, wow.
I was attuned, man. You know, I was aware.
Wow.
but
That's
our time,
fantastic.
I think you have to trust the timing.
Yeah. And sometimes you got to do a bit more work on your own stuff yet again. And yeah, it's almost like when you do all that work separately, then when you get together, it's like people go, oh, that happened so quick. It's like, well, no, it took 20 years.
I mean, definitely.
It took 20 years.
My dad met my mom around the same time, and it took him a long time, you know, like but he found the one, and
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
good things come to those who wait.
Yeah.
Be the one for yourself first, and then I think the right person comes. And also in those 3 months that we were friends, yes, you and I were working on being second best. So I knew he was dating, and he was, you know, for all the girls out there, they can relate. He was dating, I think, just being a guy, just
Yeah.
and he was also dating, you know, a model, which is every woman's worst nightmare. when the guy they like has a casual model to date, and you're
Just
like,
a casual model.
yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, how do you compete with that? But at the end of the day, it's not about looks, and it's he reflected back to me being best because he didn't see me as a potential option, as a friend.
Wow, Mary, you just went from second best to first best over the model now.
Yes, and the other that we're pursuing, because
yeah,
you see him, he's, you know, 6'4", muscular, blue eyes, very handsome, and I knew I'd have competition, but
yeah,
overnight when you told me, don't give a you know what, who cares about the other girls, live in the end that it's just you and him and have fun. And then it's almost like everything changed. I went from being the only person in his life.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I told you, Mary, that I was actually coaching some models and they didn't have good self-esteem and good self-worth. So I was trying to tell you, just because you see that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Sorry, Brian, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
No. I forgot. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were, you know, after we were together after our first date. There was no like, we had a date that, you know, we were just like, after that date, it was it.
That was it. Where did you go for your first date? I forget.
We went to a kind of like a seafood restaurant, but it was Halloween, and she came as Princess Jasmine, and so we dressed up for dinner. There were all people who were not dressed up in the restaurant, and she came as Princess Jasmine, and I came as kind of like a pirate, and it was fantastic.
That's lovely. I don't remember that bit. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's lovely.
Leading up to it, because we have some events like for meditation and some cool events together, because I was insecure, he was just acting like a normal person, but I interpreted what he did, like being busy or not being able to hang out, I interpreted that as he's not interested. But it was just my own, you know, insecurity. And then when the confidence came and the first best, then there was no interpretation needed. He just came forward in a big way because all that resistance was gone.
Yeah, and whether it's right or not, people do like a chase. You know, either side. So there's the between not trying to like play games and be authentic, but then also not being, you know, like, you know, not revealing all of yourself at once. You know.
I agree, because it's nice to get to know someone slowly. It's intriguing and it's fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Then it becomes routine pretty quickly. So time you're getting to date and know each other.
Yeah, because you can never get that back. That first little bit, that first 3-4 months, you can never get that back. So you may as well make it fun and playful and be a bit naughty and be a bit flirty and be a bit, you know, not available.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. It's so it's such a beautiful, it's just one of those where both of you just lined up, and then kaboom, it just all fell into place. And you know, it's obvious with women that we do have a body clock, and it does run out. So when you start to hit 30 and you're going from 30 to 40, and then you're going over 40, you start thinking, okay, if I want to have a baby,
Right.
I'm under some time pressure here. My body clock's under a time pressure. And I know that's a huge issue for a lot of women. Yeah. So what do you think you did with that, Mary? Because I know you wanted a child, but you obviously didn't want to just have a child by yourself or with some random person. You wanted to have a relationship and have a child within that relationship. What do you think you did mentally to deal with that part of it?
Yeah, I had been married in my 20s and I was divorced. And so I was 35 plus, you know, I was above 35, not 36 yet, with, you know, single. I was seeing somebody, but that wasn't working out, single. And I was actually scared, but then, you know, having a baby with the wrong person is life-changing and devastating, and it can be a prison sentence if it's the wrong person. So you don't ever want to do that. But I think it was letting go and not worrying about that, not even thinking about that, and just trusting in God or whoever you trust in. That look, I want that, we'll make it happen. That'll happen. Yeah. And there's so many options for women now. You can freeze your eggs. You can, you know, you can get in vitro later on. And it has to be, I think, a conversation between you and the man. But when you meet the right man, it happens however fast or however slow you want, because you have communication, you're on the same page. And yeah. So I think when I was dating Bryan, I actually just forgot about marriage and kids. I was having so much fun getting to know him.
Yes.
That it wasn't even I didn't even care about marriage, which had been different than in the past. And then we got it so quickly because never worried about.
Because there's no pressure on it.
Yeah,
there's no pressure on it. And I think this is going to be good for people to hear, especially the women, because women put a lot of pressure on men in this area.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the relationship can be bad or good, whether you have a legal piece of paper and it gets harder when there's that legal piece of paper sometimes, because you might feel trapped to work it out. So when you're getting to know someone, forget about being married. It's the relationship with yourself and then with that person that matters. Just don't even think about it. Have fun. That'll come if it's supposed to come.
Yeah, for sure.
Never married again. Relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Bryan, this is the first marriage for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Bryan, are you in your 30s?
I'm just in my early 40s.
Early 40s. Perfect.
I just had my birthday, and that's how we knew we were, it's been a year because it was August 3rd last year.
Wow.
Yeah, but I knew within, I mean, I don't know that this is, you know, common, but I knew within about a couple months of starting to date seriously that I was going to marry her. And then it was about 2 months later, and we were in the Himalayas, and it was the right time.
So you proposed while you were there?
Yes.
Yeah, I do know that, but I'm just saying it for the people that don't know the story. That was romantic, I have to say. That was a good moment.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that we had not figured out, but there was I had waited a long time for Mary to come.
Yeah.
So when she did come, I knew it was the right time. But there's it's not always so simple. Like, I think a man, a lot of times, you may know, but you make a choice. You make a choice to move forward, and it's not always so complicated. It's not always in our nature to make that commitment. It's different, and the fact that she was in no way, you know, there was no pressure at all, and she was very surprised. But that made it all better. So. Yeah,
what a wonderful thing to propose to a woman who's not going, oh, finally.
I mean, definitely. I mean, I mean, for the ladies out there, like, that can push a man away.
Yep.
When there's pressure, I mean, it makes sense. It's like, well, if you've been together for a certain amount of time, like put a ring on it. But when sometimes when a woman comes towards you with that type of pressure or wanting that, or
Yeah.
it can have the opposite effect, you know, whereas when you let that person make their own decision with the
Yep.
available information and all of the right communication, and that at first the woman has her own self-love,
Yep.
and that's going to bring the man in, like, I think.
It's not always the physical attributes that attract a man. It's the self-love is probably the most desirable thing.
Oh, definitely. It's so attractive.
It is, because a lot of women don't have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the work that like every human being, whether they're man or woman,
Yep.
has to do. And there's no one who can give that, to do the work. And like, even your happiness is like a practice, you know?
Yeah. It's so nice when you go from, because, I do work with a lot of men and women, but I do see that child parent dynamic between a lot of people in relationship, and then that person who's the parent gets sick of it, whether it's the man or the woman, and they go. And you got to level up and become an adult within your own self, through your self-love, through looking after yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You rise up, and then when you meet that person from that playing field, then you can have a meaningful relationship, because there's two people that give to a relationship, that rather than trying to get stuff out of it all the time. It's very different. I remember listening to Abraham Hicks years ago, and she said something really interesting about men and women. She said women are driven by security and men are driven by freedom. And I remember thinking, never thought of it that way. So if the woman gives the man that freedom, then the man will give the woman her security. It just goes together. Like you're saying, Bryan, if there's no pressure.
Really well said.
I just thought, wow, that was so, I'd never actually pinned it down to two words, but it made so much sense. And now because I'm working with a lot of people every week, I really see that actually is true in a lot of cases, not all cases, but a good 85%. That is true. And if we can remember that about the two genders, that would help enormously to be able to think from what they want rather than what you're trying to get all the time. What do they want in a relationship? They want to be free. How can I show him that? And Mary, I think you did that very well, where you were just fun and playful and just allowing the enjoyment of being with Bryan rather than trying to get anything from him.
Exactly. And you give yourself too, because you don't put your happiness in his hands.
Yep.
He feels like, I can go out with my friends, I can do anything. It doesn't matter, because you're not gonna be unhappy. And it's interesting, because we became a kind of one mind very quickly.
Yeah.
It's strange, because we meditated together a lot, which was a really great connecting exercise.
Yep.
And I think if you have something in common, that's important for you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the meditation thing is, I feel like, crucial. Even if people are novice at it, then it's highly recommended. You just rather than talking things out all the time, sit in silence for a short amount of time together and see how it works.
Love talking. But
what a brilliant idea.
Because I wasn't trying to get him to give me anything, it's very interesting. We could anticipate each other's needs. So I remember, one time he wanted to go on a trip, and I thought, I'd really like to go on this trip. And he's like, well, I was just thinking that. I've been thinking about going to that exact place. Or I feel like this food. Or I'd really, I remember, we were planning some activity and wanted to plan a trip to India. And he wanted to go. And it's like everything started falling into this weird synchronicity when I could get from him.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it happens when you slow everything down and you're not always in this, like you're saying, Bryan, not needing to talk everything out all the time. You can just let's just be in this space. Let's just breathe and relax. Let's let go of our whatever stresses we've got in our own individual work or whatever we've got going on. Let's just be together and meditate together. And then it just blows a lot of that off. And then you don't argue.
Definitely. I would argue that it's also more, it's a very efficient way to, with your, like, you know, every couple is going to have to do work together, but I would say it's an incredibly efficient way.
Yep.
You know, it's just that people don't have the discipline to, like, okay, before we have this big, like, relationship talk, let's sit here and, like, together. But if they did, watch how the relationship talk would change.
Totally. And there's a lot less of it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Both. I mean, he was in a relationship, I think, for 1.5 years before me. And he refused to settle in anything he didn't want, because I think that person was a taker and he was a giver. And I was a similar, as you know.
Yep.
I think, you know, maybe some of your clients as well. We give. They take.
Yeah.
Good. And when you change that mentality and you're just happy with yourself, you're going to meet a giver. And it is the best relationship when two givers come together.
Yep.
That just want to give love and not take anything from each other. It's peaceful, it's calm. And I feel so confident having a baby with him because he's, you know, I've had a lot of morning sickness and he's there. He's taking care of me every step of the way. I've never doubted my place with him. I've never doubted this isn't going to work. It's a really peaceful feeling. And that's
partnership. Whoever's in need, the other person makes up the deficit.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that great? And it's true, when two givers get together, wow, there's never any drain on the relationship because you're not doing enough. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you giving me that? No one's really having that kind of conversation. You're just like, okay, I'm really tired. I need to go and have a bath or have a shower, go for a run. Okay, no problem. I'll see you when you come back. What, do you want me to cook you something? Yep, that'd be great. And you just communicate and you help each other meet the needs if it's needed. But but people are topping themselves up, and my God, that makes a relationship so much easier.
Oh yeah, because there's going to be hard times. It's not always going to be vacations and fun dates. There's going to be times when or you know, they're having money issues or family. And you need a strong partner. You have to be strong in it yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's very healing. The love feels very like freedom, and it feels like healing, which is something
it does. It does. I'm so proud of you guys.
If it wasn't for you, I would have driven him away with my neediness. So it's all about you telling me, I think we should just have fun and not worry about the model, like, because of you. So
wow, Mary, I saw myself in you when I had made that same mistake, and I thought, I got it right in this relationship, but I was watching you going, that's me not long ago. And so we were, you know, basically you were me pushed out, Mary.
Oh yeah.
So it was quite interesting. And I remember, you know, it's funny because my partner used to say to me, he says, you're not at peace. You got to relax, just relax and let go and try and have fun. And I go, yeah, I am. And he goes, look at your face. No, you're not. Yeah, I am having fun. And it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah. Men are sensitive. They feel when we're like pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that thing of trying to get them to do something so that you can relieve your annoyance, your frustration, your dissatisfaction on whatever topic, you know. And it's like, oh God. I look back at myself sometimes and think, wow, the men I was with had some patience. Yeah. Because when women are in that constant trying to get more with everything, more of a priority, more of a phone call, more of a this, more of a that, it's exhausting for those people, the men. I mean, sometimes in gay couples too, but you know, in my case, it was a man, and I think they were sometimes exasperated, you know, because you're micromanaging stuff in your head all the time. Definitely. And it's just coming from lack. It's just coming from not enough. And you need to fix it. It's like, it's not this person's job to fix your childhood issue. It's not. So
Also, I think things really changed when you told me you have to be willing to walk away. You have to be willing to say, hey, I tried. Because
Yep.
I remember there was a period of time when he was really busy, and every time we were supposed to hang out, he would
Yeah.
cancel. And he
Yep.
did this about 3 or 4 times, which
Yep.
was incredibly rude to me. He one time even forgot. I mean, he was probably mirroring some sort of, low self-esteem, but there was a day that we were supposed to hang out and he just forgot on that day and tried to make a joke of it. And I said to him, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. We're having a hard time connecting. Let's just be friends and I'll see you in the community. And he was kind of so flustered, he hung up. He's like, okay, bye. And he hung up. But I was willing to walk away and just say and be confident and live my life and be happy without him. And everything changed after that.
And I was like, what's happening?
Yeah. So Bryan, what was going on? It was just you were like in a fluster about work and you just couldn't keep all the balls in the air, and then that was the casualty?
So there's some of that, and then there was like there's a mix of her communication, like in terms of how she wanted to connect with me, whether it was business or for kind of like meditation or personal, or just kind of romantic, and I think if it had been purely just one, I think it would have happened quickly. But I couldn't quite make sense of what was going on in the dynamic. And so this is not necessarily the most healthy way, but I kind of like I took like all of those things, and rather than kind of like sorting them out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this like on hold for a bit.
I confused you. So you
I think it was confusing. It was confusing when someone is
computer does not compute.
I mean and the reality is like, well, actually it was all those things. But I think just getting to know her, I was like, well, this is not usually the way that I relate with like a woman. Like it's usually quite clear.
Yes, and it wasn't clear with this.
So I mean, I do think when people sort out their own like what they want out of a situation, and they're clear within themselves, and then they kind of do the whole thing of letting go and not being grasping or something like that, it translates quite clearly. When our intentions are mixed, or we have like a lot going on, that will also translate to the other person as being, okay, well, there's a lot going on here, and I could have certainly been more deft in my parsing out those different things, and also just like being more intelligent and just like reading between the lines. But then that was it. And then of course, like the moment she was like, okay, well, well, let's try some other time, immediately I was like, wait. And I like for like a day I was like, I don't feel good. Like, what's going on? What's happening?
Wait.
And I could feel him. I could feel the wheels turning in his head,
slowly,
which I love. He's not okay with what just happened. But it was fine. I had filled up my life with things, and then I get a long text of him kind of explaining why this happened. I didn't reply for about 4 or 5 days because I was. There's no rush. I'm totally relaxed now.
I don't think it was 4 or 5 days.
I counted. That's how relaxed I was. That's how relaxed
I counted.
I was like, God, I was taking a lot of pleasure in the fact that I was so relaxed. I didn't have to get back. And then on the 5th day, I was like, now you're being a little too cool, and it's not natural.
And on the 5th day,
so
she spoke.
Mary spoke. That's great.
But it's interesting because I was tested again, because I had to be very clear in what I wanted, but also detached and let go. And so he was still hesitant. So he said to me, "Can we go on a pre-date? Can we just kind of go for?"
She called it a pre-date. I said, like, can we just also just get to know each other first before
So we had been friends for 3 months, where we had gotten to know each other, but he wanted to kind of go just for a walk in the park and and by that time I was like, I know what I want. I want to actually go on a proper date. And it's totally okay if you don't want to. But
she said, I'm not going to let you predate me.
yeah, I
And
said
I was
no.
like, all right, that's a strong position. I respect that. And let's go on a proper
I'm
date.
gonna let you predate me.
Yeah, so I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't like sarcastic. You know how girls can get very frustrated.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
come through. I just said no predate. It's either a date or don't worry about it. We'll just
Yeah.
be friends. And so it was a great first date, but I had to be clear in a calm way about, you know,
Yes.
this is what I want. You know,
Yes.
yeah.
I do remember that part of the story. Yeah, because I was scrambling around in the background, Bryan.
Yeah.
now I know.
Now you know.
I'm glad you were there. I mean,
Oh.
you need a like a good like strong voice of reason and someone to like tell you to like, because it is
Yeah.
true when the flustered thing comes, or the, you know, like, yes, it can get a man like who's like maybe slow to move, like you know, off his took us and moving, but it doesn't feel as good as that like cool, calm, confident person who's like, well,
Yeah.
time for you, you know, like then usually you're like wow, okay.
You know, from watching men and women, and from working with both genders, I think now after 5 years, I'm starting to see women always want to go faster than men.
Yes.
And I will use the word always, because it's like I don't know why, we just have this, you know, fourth gear thing, and men are in first gear. It doesn't mean that they don't get there. It's just you have a different speed, and neither one is right or wrong. They're just different speeds. So it's like the woman's got to slow herself down a bit and just trust and know he's coming. He'll get there in his own time, but let him do it in his own pace at his own time, because he likes to go and do other things and come back to it, and go and do other things and come back to it. Whereas we just go, let's take 3 days off and just do it all in one hit. You know, we're the rabbit. Mm-hmm. And the men are the turtles.
That's true.
And I think we've got, as women, something to learn from the slow, because you get to know someone better when you go at a slower pace. You've got time to reflect, to ponder what happened, to see if it's a good fit. Whereas if you go out on 4 dates and 4 nights, you don't get time to chew it over and digest it.
And
so
you're comfortable to say what you have a preference for. So
yeah.
Like you know, he wanted to go for an amble in a park, but I don't really love that, because where we live, the parks are pretty windy. There's a lot of homeless people.
Yep.
I had gotten the confidence from working with you to say, yeah, I actually would rather go have a drink with you somewhere to know you than kind of walk in the wind with the homeless people.
Yeah.
Nothing against homeless people.
No, but the environment for a date is, yeah,
So
yeah, you wanted something that you could actually hear him talk without the wind blowing through your head.
I think what she also means is you can be clear about the circumstances with which you want to meet somebody, but also be, you know, flexible and adventurous. I mean, that's not how I pictured it.
Yeah. That's great. Didn't you go for a bike ride or something too?
No.
No, you went and did something together.
Maybe we went to
I can't. There was something about going to do some activity together or something. Am I getting that mixed up or not?
I think we went to the beach at one point.
Yeah.
We didn't think to the bike ride.
Because I remember Mary getting ready, because we had a session, and she said, "Oh, I got to go and get my stuff ready," because she was getting certain. I don't know, maybe it was just her bathing suit and a towel, but there was something she was going to do with you.
That was another. No, I'm just kidding. No, just kidding.
Another pre-date. Mary, I hope you wore the crocheted bikini.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, it's funny when I actually think while you're waiting for your specific person, it's okay to date other men. You don't have to, but it'll take your mind off that person. And the men feel if all your focus is on them, and they feel that pressure.
Yep.
Yeah, it's more than okay. It's completely natural.
But I will say this, because in a big city, there's so much dating that the men will go bankrupt. So what they'll do is they will plan these little pre-dates that are completely free in nature, which is beautiful, but so it wasn't one of those. But I think what I was getting ready for was Big Sur. So one of the first trips we ever took together was in nature. We drove to Big Sur, and it was the most romantic trip ever, but it was very quick. So we'd only been dating for 3 or 4 weeks, and it was for Thanksgiving, and I really wanted to ask him to go. And then you told me, well, maybe he wants to go as well. How do you know he's not thinking of asking you to go somewhere?
Yeah.
For Thanksgiving? So just let him know you're going to Big Sur and see what he says without having to put yourself out there. And you were thinking of also going to Big Sur. Yeah. And so he was nervous to ask me, I think. Yeah. And we went together and we met his sister there, and it was such a fun trip. So it was,
For those people that don't know what that is, what is it? So Big Sur is what?
Big Sur is a magical place in California where the ocean or the mountains kind of slope down into the ocean. It's a very, very special place.
Lovely.
Yeah. And we used law of attraction there. We got a free upgrade to a house, practically a beautiful house overlooking the ocean, even though we'd only paid for a room. And I discovered he was really into this stuff too. So we were manifesting surprise after surprise just by being open and expecting the best.
I think that's when you guys called me, and there was the two of you and Brian's sister, and I had met her.
Oh yeah.
And the three of you were all in one room, and the four of us ended up having a chat, which was so fun. It was fantastic.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Just had a bit of a catch up while you guys were in this. I remember you said we've just manifested this amazing place.
Yeah. It was fun.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. Wow. It's such a heartwarming story. It's beautiful. It's a fabulous ending. It's a fairy tale ending for a lot of people. Like, you guys know how long it took you to get to where you wanted to go. And you also know there's a lot of people still looking for this and trying to manifest it. And I'm glad you shared about the surrender and letting go and just going and having fun and getting to a place where you just stop kind of squeezing it by the neck, because that's the thing that keeps it away.
Yeah, and if you're focused on the feeling of unconditional love, I know it's hard, but what came to me was that I shouldn't be attached to the form in which that comes. Mm-hmm. As you are leveling up and getting better, you may actually meet somebody that is much better for you. And if you're not open to that, you could spend your life with somebody that's not going to grow with you, but only matched your vibration in that moment. Whereas if you're open to the growth and what could be, you might meet somebody that can grow with you. And it's a world of difference, as you and I know, being with someone that matched your past self versus yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I would say also that you are entirely responsible for your own vibration.
Yeah.
You can have guides, coaches, if you're lucky, you'll have some gurus or high teachers and things like that, family and friends, but you're completely responsible for it. And so the more that you're emptying out your mind and emotions of unproductive, kind of negative or weighty things, that your own vibration will change, and that you will naturally and kind of easily bring forth and attract the people, places, and circumstances that match that vibration.
We didn't talk about Ho'oponopono.
Oh yeah.
Ho'oponopono. I did a ton of Ho'oponopono on the inner child that was wounded from the past. It was amazing. And that allowed a new person to be brought in, and
Mary, you actually went and did how many Ho'oponopono weekends too? You did quite a few of those where you went away and did it at a much deeper level than just repeating the prayer. You actually went in and did it for weekends and cleared a lot of stuff. How many times did you do that? I remember you did it at least once or twice.
I've done a total 3 now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because the whole weekend you are doing it and you're learning about it and you're cleaning and you're neutralizing, and then it's an intense weekend and people are doing it with you. Like, you feel so light afterwards and free, and things move. It's pretty amazing after doing that technique your life circumstances change pretty quickly, and I think it's miraculous. It's completely miraculous if you just first change the energy within yourself, and then the outside world reflect it. Miracles happen afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, when you look back at all the stuff you've done for the last 18 months to 2 years, and yes, it was effort. And yes, there was some painful moments, some highs, some lows, some good, some not so good. But when you look at, and you fast track to today, you go, wow, every single thing I did contributed to where I'm sitting here today with Bryan. The two of us were about to, you know, have a ceremony at some point where we are going to be married, and we are also going to bring another human being into the world. The work that both of us have done on ourselves has contributed to us being where we are. And I think that's just such a exciting, it's like you've been climbing the mountain and you finally get to the top and you look down the mountain and you go, wow, the vantage point is so different from here now.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, and to maintain a good relationship, you have to constantly also keep letting go.
Yep.
On a daily basis, so that a person can have those conversations about how they feel, and you really listen without putting yourself and your own needs in there and desires.
Yeah. And that's ongoing practice doing that, because you do get hit in the raw pink nerve by what your partner says sometimes. And then you go, oh, not that again. And then you're trying to listen to them and you got your own stuff coming up. So yeah, if you can just let it clear itself as that happens, rather than, you know, railing against it like we, you know, often do.
Yeah.
To practice, like what you're saying, surrendering and letting go and breathing, and then let's do a meditation together. All of that just transforms not only the relationship, but you within the relationship. It's brilliant.
Because even if when you get the guy, if the insecurity is still there.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
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 So that can repel the guy. That can repel a lot of things. So
yeah, it can dismantle all the good work you did if you go back to your old habits, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. But the good thing is, you know what you know, and no one can take away the fact that you know it now. It's whether you apply it, that's up to you, but you know where the toolbox is.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
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 And your friends meeting, like your friends are, you know, going to be in relationships too, and you can see where they would benefit from it. So it's hard because you want to just do this work.
I know. Yeah. And you can lead the horse to water.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
I guess the best testimonial is them being around your relationship and they see how it operates when you're together. Yeah.
And, you know, Bryan and I have done joint sessions with you, just about life. Relationship stuff. And it's much better than couples counseling, because we get to work on ourselves and as a whole, and it's healing. It's not like we sit and regurgitate our problems, because if you focus on problems, you're going to get more of it. Focus on the deficiencies that your partner or yourself has, it's just going to keep showing itself back to you. So you've been working with us on growing, improving, so that's really nice. So thank you. You guys are so well past the training wheels. They're gone. You've ridden off. Exactly. Oh, it's brilliant. It's so brilliant. Honestly, to me, it doesn't get better than this, than watching two people have worked on themselves and are still working on themselves and are still meditating, still affirming, still surrendering and letting go, and they are enjoying their relationship. They're enjoying the unfolding of new work or meaningful work or more money or going on a trip or having a baby, all these things that are all the real amazing fruits of life. Right. It's brilliant. To me, it's so exciting to watch this, because this has been like, Mary, I can't remember how long I met you. Was it 2 years ago now? Yeah, about 2. More than 2, yeah. Yeah, and Bryan I've known for around a year, so when this all started as well. So it's such a, you planted the seeds, you watered them, and now it's way more than a little shoot. It's like grown into a beautiful young tree that's got really strong branches. So it happened quickly. Yeah,
it did. In the end, it did. that it was years worth of work, but it's quick. But then when you look at the tip of the iceberg, it's all the work you both did separately before you met each other to get to this point.
Yeah, a lot of pain beforehand, and neutralizing that pain, tools, a lot of tool set. And we like to spend time apart too. So together, but to maintain, I think, those habits and practices, you do need alone time. And if for a couple not codependent and healthy, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And then when you see each other, it's like, hi, hey, you know, and you talk and you're excited, and I did this, and what happened with you, and what happened with that. And you it's like this fresh energy's just gone whoosh into the relationship. So yeah, time apart is such a breath of fresh air for a relationship. And if you can balance me time and us time, it doesn't get better than that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Brilliant. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just wanted to say, thank you for the work that you're doing. It's extremely valuable. And I know that's why people are listening to you and benefiting from the wisdom that you're giving.
Thank you.
And the great thing about your work is you can apply it to anything, your relationship with money, your relationship with love, with self. I mean, it's universal, and it's helping so many people. And I've sent other people to you who came back and said, oh my God, I've never thought this way. It's a whole different framework of thinking, change their lives. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful to it's just wonderful to look. This is meaningful work for me. I feel grateful that it's been such a big part of my life for the last 5 or 6 years, because I scrambled around and made very many mistakes in relationships and with money and with meaningful work. Those 3 areas. So it's nice to be able to well, for those that are scrambling around and falling into potholes, I can say I personally was an incredibly slow learner. And for those that don't get something within 3 to 6 months, it's like, don't worry about that, and being able to share the stories of how long it took me. I think at the time I thought, my God, how many times are you going to do this wrong? But now I can see that me having done things wrong so much for so long actually puts people at ease. Because it was like that for me for so long, for decades, rather than, oh yeah, I did that and I got that in 3 months. It's like, no, I was an extremely slow learner, and I made the same mistakes again and again and again and again. Right. Because self-love was missing, because Ho'oponopono was missing, because meditation was missing, and because I kept thinking the bright shiny object was over there. So if you keep getting doors slammed in your face enough, then you're left in the corridor. That's where you do the work. You sit on the ground and you do the work. So it's so wonderful to, it's like now I can see that there's some people that I've known for quite some time, like the two of you. Not only are you now living the results of this work because you've been so great at applying it, but now you're you, Bryan and Mary, you've been giving in your selected career paths, but what's happening now is you're bringing this relationship, and the richness of that is then an extra turbo boost into everything else that you touch.
Yes.
And that's what's so great, because of meditation and because being involved in all sorts of different things that I'm not going to go into in this interview. But those avenues that you're touching career-wise are now being, it's like fertile. It's like, this is going to sound strange, putting worm wee, which is a fertilizer for dirt, for before you do a garden. It's like the worm wee has a potency to then whatever you plant into that soil to grow, not only just in a healthy way, it grows into an extraordinary way. And this is the work you both have done, is the worm wee that you've put into the soil. And now you've come together and you're going forth, and other people are now benefiting from this amazing thing that you've grown together, which is the relationship tree with the branches, with all the extra bits that you're hanging off it. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in another 12 months with a little baby, and with some other things that we are not going to talk about yet because they are still hatching. So we won't mention those things until a later date, but that is another amazing thing in the incubation tank. So thank you for coming.
There's one more thing I wanted to add, that
Yeah.
that are in a lot of pain,
Yep.
it is worth it. There is, you know, for the lucky ones, it can get so painful until you get that self-love has to be the basis of everything. Work success, love success, health success, it has to be about self-love. But if you're not getting that, things are going to be incredibly painful, and people can do the most heinous things you wouldn't even think of, to cause you pain until you get it. And I think we've all been there. And so for people that are going through that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just until you learn the self-love, it's going to be painful. That's guaranteed.
Yep. Once you get that, everything, the suffering just whoosh, it diminishes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a gift. Yeah.
It is. And you let the whole world off the hook, that you need to do whatever to make me feel better. You've let the whole world off the hook.
That's
parents, bosses, partners, siblings, colleagues, everybody's free. That's a brilliant thing to give the people around you. It's a brilliant gift.
It feels good. You walk around.
It does.
Empowered.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I will put the links down below to the things we talked about, the whole Ho'oponopono and other bits and pieces of self-love and all that, because I think there's so much in there that is of great value to people, relieving their suffering and getting relief. So do you guys want to say goodbye to everybody, and then we'll say goodbye in private?
Yeah, thank you so much for this interview, and you know, thanks for all your help, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Agnes. This is great.
Lovely. Thanks, you guys. Bye, everyone. I will see you, as always, on the channel, in another YouTube, and wherever you are, morning, noon, or night. Lots of love.